All right, everyone. Today we have our dear friend Justin Hurd here from 4111 Real Estate. We brought him in to discuss the housing market here locally as well as across the country. We have some cool topics that we want to discuss today. We want to introduce him, let him tell us a little bit about his business, what he does. He's obviously a dear friend of mine. I've worked with him and known him for going on probably 7 to 8 years. He's helped me buy real estate, but most importantly, he's a dear friend. We'd love to have him here and give us some insight. So that's a little bit of my introduction. Justin, why don't you introduce yourself and what you like to do, hobbies, who you are, and
Of course.
why you're interested in real estate.
Man, with an intro like that, I feel like I should give you a hug. That was good. I liked it. So I will tell you, I've been in the business now. It's crazy how fast time goes. I've been in the business now 13 years. And it's kind of funny how I got into the business. I went to school and got a degree in finance. And while I was going through school, I was going out in the summer and I was doing summer sales. And I know that always kind of sounds like the cliche, oh, here's another sales bro. But I was so fortunate to get with a good company. And they taught some of the best principles that I use today all the time. Not just about how to lead someone through a sales process, but really just some core principles on how to build a business. And so I got with them and I ran with them for 5 years. Those tail end of my years, I got into running a region, and so they had kind of climbed me through this. But while I was doing it, my brother Brian, he's been in the business now about 21, 22 years. He was calling me all the time and saying, you got to get into real estate with us. And I just kept saying, hey, let me get my degree. Let me figure this out. And most of the people in my class and at my university were, starting to go do their internships and, jump in and do their finance side of things. And my wife and I came down here to Utah and sat down with my brother, and we kind of spent a week down here, and we felt like, all right, this is the right thing to do. So I jumped into real estate, and that was just about 13 years ago.
You're from Boise,
Idaho.
originally. But now consider yourself a Utahn.
Dude, I'm full on Utah. People ask me like, hey, do you think Boise's still home? And I say, Utah is officially my home.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what interested you in getting in real estate? Obviously, your brother Brian was a big motivator there, but what really drove you? Because obviously it's more than just a business for you.
Yeah.
It's a passion.
Yeah.
It's, it's something that you are, you want to help your clients. And so what really motivates you day to day to stay in this?
I mentioned a little bit about, this company that I worked with that was a summer sales company. We sold pest control. And they taught me some just amazing principles. One of the principles that they would always go with is I got heavy into training training pest control salesman reps, right? And going out with them and spending a ton of time with them. And I started recognizing how much I just love helping people and teaching them and having successes. And even though it's their successes, I kind of felt like it was our successes together at certain times. And those same principles roll over into real estate. I honestly can tell you, my job doesn't feel like a job. It's something that I'm passionate about. And so when I get to get out and help my clients, and we get to negotiate a good deal, or we find a good home for them, or we're able to help because of a situation, maybe a mother or father passed away, and we get introduced to extended parts of family. It's so interesting because I get to usually see like pretty in-depth layers of people's families, and I get to know more people. And that's been the beautiful thing about my business, is it's just growing as I've had the opportunity to show up and help people the right way.
What would you say your company does differently than other real estate companies or agents out there? Where do you really set yourself apart?
I would think treating my business like a business is probably, it might sound a little vanilla, but I show up every day, right? People kind of joke around. They say, well, I think a real estate agent has lunch at noon, right? Because they just sleep in, excuse me, not lunch at noon, breakfast at noon. That's what it is. Okay, so they say a real estate agent has breakfast at noon, right? And that's the joke, is that they don't wake up till noon and they're eating breakfast. But I think the thing that would set me apart is I try to address my business as a business. You know, I spend time, I have an assistant. We definitely try to bring value to our clients in every position, whether they've done something with us, whether they're in the process of doing something with us. We try to look at a client as a lifetime client. And there's just a lot of different ways to bring value. I believe one of the biggest ways to bring value is almost treating that real estate agent like part of like your portfolio, in regards to like you have a financial advisor. They would advise you yearly. I think your real estate agent is on the same level of that. We advise you. I would love to advise you yearly on what's going on with your real estate. Do you have plans to do more? What are you going to do for your kids? Prices are getting expensive. How are we going to, adjust and move? And how can we make real estate affordable?
So it's fostering relationships for kind of a lifetime is what you're after from a customer, from a client relationship.
That's right.
Tell us a little bit about the ups and downs of the market, because obviously we've seen moving into 2020, it's extremely crazy. We worked a lot together, 2020, 2021, 2022. We've started to see in the last couple of years, maybe the market cool down, quote unquote, cool down. How was 2025 for you as a whole? And how do you see kind of the market adjusting in 2026?
Yeah. Such a great question. Honestly, I just believe mindset is like at the top of any conversation that we talk. I do believe every market, regardless the market, there is an opportunity. Does the opportunity show up the same way in 2025 as it did in 2020 or 21? No, it doesn't. It doesn't. But there is opportunity. And so when I think of what is going on in the market, it's really easy to determine a market by, are we in a buyer's market? Are we in a seller's market? Are we in a balanced market? A lot of people those are kind of words that if I start talking to people about, they're like, oh yeah, I've heard of that before. I've heard of that before. In theory, we are in a buyer's market. Average days on market right now are right around like 70 to 80 days on market, right?
What were they during COVID?
5.
5 days.
So back in 20, 21, 22, 5. I mean, that was literally like, hey, the home got listed. I would call the agent and say, hey, I saw that you just listed this home. Can you tell me anything about it? What's important to your sellers? I think my clients are really gonna like this. Hey, Justin, we actually already have 10 showings on it. It's like, wait a second, you just listed this. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
Right? So we had a lot of success in 20, 21, 22. We had to change how we were showing up, because pretty much every home we made an offer on the low end, 3 offers at least. Yeah. On the high end, you'd hear crazy things like, well, Justin, I have 50 offers on this house. Yeah. Right?
Right.
And so
that,
it's a balance between saying, okay, you got 50 offers, a good majority of those are probably just nothing. Some of them are, pretty good. And then you have a small stack that's really good. Yeah. How do you get in the really good pile and still protect your client? Mm-hmm. And so we had to get really good at that. And we found some great loopholes.
So now the time on market has now shifted, where you're probably not getting escalating offers, multiple offer situations, waived appraisals, contingency, stuff like that. So what's now changed? Like, why has that dynamic changed? And how has that changed your business model for your clients?
Yeah, so big picture, just obviously interest rate has gone up. Affordability is the number one conversation that everyone's having. And so as it's been a little bit, your barrier to entry to get into the market, that average mortgage payment these days is probably, I would say like $3,200 is probably your average. We see people tackle them as high as $8,000 and $9,000, right? And so when it gets really aggressive, it just pulled back, because there's a lot of people that said, hey, I can't afford $3,200. My rent's cheaper. Let me just like sit back. Mm-hmm. And so our demand slowed way down. And so then as people continued listing homes, we all of a sudden saw that inventory start to increase, that months of inventory. 2021, we got down to below 1 month of inventory. So if there were no more homes listed, that means under a month, everything would be sold. Yeah. Right now, our months of inventory, we're getting into that like 4 to 5 month range. Okay. So if nothing else got listed, it's gonna take 4 or 5 months for us to sell those homes. It's called an absorption rate that we look at. So
that's Utah, right? Obviously here in Utah.
yeah,
Where do you think the market is as a whole, or outside of Utah
nationwide.
versus, nationwide versus kind of on a micro level, Utah?
Yeah. Every year in kind of the end of January, beginning of February, they do Kim C. Gardner Institute does a overall like review of the market. So James Wood comes down and does it, and then they usually tie someone in from National Association of Realtors as well.
Okay.
That comes in and talks about the nationwide. Here's what we're seeing in the eyes, and then James Wood gets up and talks about let's talk local, right? Utah is a little unique in its own way. It's a very pro-business friendly type state.
Right.
A lot of entrepreneurs come this way. There is a lot of opportunity that sits here. And so when we dive into Utah is a little bit more insulated than what we see overall. We don't see some of the same problems that we see as a nationwide. It's safe to say that interest rates is like the number one topic. If we were to say like, how do these coincide? Where do they see correlation? I think the biggest thing is interest rates still are the number one thing that attacks the affordability. And so you're seeing sellers give large amounts of concessions. You're seeing that nationwide. Depending on the home that we do here, sellers are still giving credits on this side as well. But overall, I think the nation is just seeing affordability as a challenge.
Right. What would you say the biggest driver is? You're talking about seller credits. If I'm a new home buyer and I'm not back in 2020 when I had 2.5% to 3% interest rates, why would you say get into the market? Or maybe what advantages do I have now versus then? I think that's the biggest question. We're pro affordability, pro housing,
ProLine.
ProLine with our company. Obviously, we sell kitchen appliances, and so this benefits all of us.
Yeah.
What advantages would you say new home owners or people looking would have today versus a couple years ago?
Man, I wish I had this graph with me. So in January, when I went to this forecast, James C. Wood, he talked about the most interesting graph that I took away from it was, all right, during 2020 to 19 to 21, we saw an increase in the market that was like a total of like 45% or something like that, right? Not sustainable. That's like every year the housing market was moving somewhere between like your 15 to 20%.
Right.
So if you owned a home during that time and you were attached to the market, you were getting massive amounts of appreciation in your house.
Yep.
If you go and look from 23 to 25, we've been getting anywhere between like 1 to like 1.5% appreciation. So appreciation has basically just like pulled the brake. So what I say about that is they did a chart and they said, okay, here's where home prices are today. If COVID would have never happened, where would home prices be today? The gap between where we are and where they would be is, I think it was like $10,000. So where they get that number is they're saying the market on average would appreciate about 4% a year in Utah, 4 to 5% a year in Utah, right? As it has continued to, if COVID would have never happened, we would have just taken that 4 to 5% appreciation. The market is now dang near caught up where it is, right?
Okay.
And so when you ask me the question like, hey, what would you tell people? Why do you believe in getting in homes still? What does that look like? I believe at the end of the day, there is wealth that can be created in homes, but it has to be the right home, right? It has to be the right process that we go through. And the reality is we talk about food, shelter, water, basic needs that people have. Shelter is right there in it, right? And so a thing that we've been doing with a lot of people, especially first-time home buyers, is doing maybe house hacks where they can get in, they don't need the full home, and we put like a kitchen or something in the basement. Right. And they can rent that basement out for $1,500, $2,000, whatever it may be. And it helps them offset that mortgage where when we look at the numbers, you say, geez, you'd be paying this in rent. This is what you're paying in mortgage. But when you take in the renter in the basement, you're in a better place than where you are in your renting. Plus, you're actually paying something down, right? And we start getting into those conversations. So, you know, that's the first time home buyer. If someone's selling something and they're coming into the market right now with some equity from another home, now is your time to be bullish, right?
Yeah.
You can be bullish on these prices. So
You mentioned, you know, you can get some seller credits. You're probably getting, obviously, not probably, you obviously are getting less traction on listings, right? So your likelihood of getting an accepted offer is going up, right? Probably getting lower prices. You're not, one likely not paying over appraised value, stuff like that. I'm assuming all those things play into that too.
everything, right? And you know, it's always like you got to put, what lens are you going to put on, right? Are we talking from like a seller's lens? Are we talking from a buyer's lens, right? The thing that I would tell you amongst all of the, if we were to look at Utah as a whole and just say, okay, I tell sellers all the time, what is going to determine your price is unique features that you have on your home, location of your home, and condition, right? A question that they usually have is like, well, what's a unique feature? A unique feature could be something as much as like, hey, we just remodeled this whole kitchen. It stands out way above everything else. You go through and you start looking at homes on the MLS, you're like, well, geez, that kitchen's beautiful, right? A unique feature could be a separate entrance that they could put a basement in the bottom. The unique feature could be, hey, this is in an area where an ADU can be built in the background, right? In the backyard. So, you know, I always tell people in this market, even with days on market being high, when I focus on unique features, condition, location, a good home priced correctly in this market, it will still move. It will still move.
Got it.
Right.
You advised me, it's been about 4.5 years when I moved. Me and my wife bought our first single family home. We lived in a condo. We moved out of that. It was a really comfortable payment that we had. We moved into a single family, it was much bigger. You advised us actually on building out that apartment, and we did that, and we rented it out. And here we are 4 years later. I had the same tenant, a good friend of mine, living down there, and that was one of the best things that we ever did. And now it's kind of weird not having that rental income coming back in, but we do like having the space back. But what was good about it is it got our feet wet into managing our own property, you know, an actual single family home versus our condo. It really gave us some experience to work off of from an affordability and kind of understand expenses, things that come up, renovations. Me and my wife have gotten into just DIYing a lot of stuff. So we've gotten comfortable with projects. And I think, you know, if you were to advise somebody, like, you know, how would you maybe get them focused on some of those aspects that you just talked about?
Yeah, and I'll tell you, it's not for everyone, because there's certain clients I meet with that would overwhelm them.
Yeah.
Right? It's like, wait a second, you want me to like have someone live below me? Like, no, get out of here. I'm not doing that. So it depends on the client, but you hit a point, something that came to my head when you were talking, and I try to remind people this. Most of the time, people's income will go like this, right? Depending on how old the person is that I'm meeting with. If I'm meeting with a 55-year-old person, I don't imagine his income is going to keep going like this, right? He's probably more at the upper end of where he's at right now, right? I'm meeting with a 23-year-old, a 30-year-old. I'm like, hey, your story today is going to be different in 5 years.
100%.
And so one of the things that is hard sometimes for people to understand is like, hey, listen, we want to put you in a payment that you feel comfortable with. That rental in the basement makes it feel comfortable, but there will come a time when your renter moves out.
Yeah.
And when that renter moves out, you're most likely going to expand into your basement at that point. You don't have to. You can put another renter in right away.
Yeah.
But your income most likely in those last 5 years went up more. So the thought of taking on the full monthly payment now is like, oh yeah, we can do it. Do I miss the rental income? You bet. But this is what I want to do, right? So what I would advise you is everyone's a little bit different, right? And there's going to be certain people it's not going to work for. But that is a conversation that I have with people a lot too. Can you sacrifice today, right? To you know, put the lens on of a 5-year vision. Can you have 5 years sacrifice?
Yeah.
Because it will put you in a way better position down the road.
Right. Yeah, that's a perfect analogy, because we were, 4.5, almost 5 years, right? This year that we've owned that house, and best thing we ever did, honestly.
Yep.
I do want to talk about, let's transition to folks that are now in their home. You've talked about kitchens and upgrades and things like that. We're an appliance seller and distributor. What would you say to people that are looking to make the most out of their home, either for themselves, or if they're looking to sell and get involved in the market, maybe recapture some of that value?
Yeah, always I tell people master bath, kitchen. Those are the two areas that if you're going to pump some money into your home, you can pump money in those two areas and you're typically going to get a pretty decent return out of them.
Okay.
Right? Now, granted, let's like figure out where you're at. Just when we go to price a home, what am I always going to talk about? Location, condition, unique features. Location, condition, unique features, right? There might be certain places that I'm going to say, hey, it doesn't matter how much money you pump into this kitchen. You won't get it back.
Okay.
Because you're going to cap yourself out. Or it doesn't matter how much you pump into this remodel all around.
Yeah.
Like, let's be conscious. You don't want to push outside of the high water mark for your neighborhood, because a home still has to appraise.
Right.
Right?
Comps, comparables. That
and where that appraiser is going to get those comps is from a 2-mile radius around your neighborhood. And so if he's like, I have nothing to match this,
okay,
he might not know how to give appropriate value to something.
Okay.
Right? Which there's times that we have to step in, right? And we have to give them a list and say, hey, I just want to make sure you know this, and here's this, and here's this. And those things can help, but it gives us a little bit of like an uphill battle starting right there. I don't know, did I answer your question?
Yeah, you did. Talk to me a little bit more about maybe specifics. You said kitchen and bathroom though, but what would you say give the most value in those aspects, right? Obviously not going overboard, not spending $150,000 to $200,000 on a kitchen, but if you were going to spend money, where would you spend it in the kitchen?
Yeah, so let's just take your average home. I mean, for a long time, people were using oak, right? So you have a lot of oak cabinets in there.
Okay.
Oak is something that most of the people that come into these days, unless my dad's in there. My dad's in there, he's gonna be like, these oak cabinets are great.
Yeah.
Right? But most people don't love the oak cabinets anymore.
You mean like dark finishes,
or even just oak,
just the oak?
The oak, yeah, like
grain,
the grain, right?
Okay.
And so, there are things that I would say if you're coming in that home, a lot of the builders nowadays, like a lot of new builders are using like a pine or something like that they're doing, right? Let's say you're in an older home and you're like, I just want to redo my cabinets. What does that look like? That can be a pretty expensive process, right? So first we're going to look at location. We're going to say, hey, does it make sense to put this much in? Typically those people have probably been in the home a little bit longer, but that's something that I would tell you, like, you'd probably get your money out if you got rid of those knotty alder pine, with the knots in them that are all around there. And are we going to reface something, right? Are we just going to reface the doors, or how are we going to do that? So a lot of times countertops, pending that home, you saw granite for a long time with like the dark granite.
Yeah.
And, as people have adjusted and, you saw the white cabinets. So I'll tell you this color is coming back, like a true stained wood color. This is for sure coming back. The Parade of Homes, St. George Parade of Homes is this week. You get Utah County Parade of Homes coming up here shortly. You will see a lot of this. The two-tone is starting to go out a little bit, right? And so it's just interesting, like, depending on the home that we come into and who we're talking to, that's where we would counsel wisely on what to do.
Right.
You always have the good, better, best. So sometimes the good is saying, let's get them painted, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes the better is, let's just resurface these. We're going to put them into a shaker versus this whatever you got right here, right? And then sometimes the best is like, just light them on fire, throw them out or drip them out, and we're going to overhaul this thing.
Yeah.
So
interesting. We obviously we built our showroom and designed this. The two-tone was something that we were after because it's really popular.
Yeah.
We went with this, this custom wood top.
Yeah.
But maybe elaborate on like appliance packages. I always say perception is reality.
Oh yeah.
And if someone has a perceived value, they're more than willing to probably pay the cost on that, right?
100%.
We've seen like a lot of accents get really popular in colors and champagne bronze and gold, even matte black and black stainless. So
Totally.
maybe I threw a lot out there, but talk to us about like appliances and some things that you're seeing there.
Yeah, I mean, I think anytime someone walks into a kitchen, most of the time they'll be like, is there a gas line behind that? Is there a gas line behind that, right? And so I think that range, you know, the built-in cooktop with a hood up above it, that's like really awesome. People love that, right? Sometimes the kitchen's small enough that you're like, we don't have any place to put ovens if we do that. So we defer to something that's got the nice cook range up top, and then it's got the nice ovens down below, right? You see that with a lot of your products that you guys have. I will tell you, that's something to me that is like eye candy, right? So when I talk about condition on a home, unique features on a home, people will notice that, you know, having an LG fridge or having a wood panel fridge that's something that you guys sell, like, it just hits different. It just feels different. You know, I carry a few rentals, right? A decent like amount of rentals, right? And I do a few that are Airbnb. You actually helped me with one. I built one up in Eden, right? I can tell you, our kitchen, we took one of your range cooktops. We went a little bit bigger, I think a 36-inch or something.
This one behind us, actually.
Yeah, it's this guy right here.
Yeah.
So we went a little bit bigger, and we put in, like, I mean, it's got a nice, beautiful black splash above it. It's got a nice hood above it, right? Yeah. That is something like when you walk into that kitchen, it just feels nice. It feels nice. The day will come when we sell that thing. That's going to be a feature that people will say, that's nice. Yeah, I like that.
Yeah. Right. How has that performed? Let's say you went basic, you know, cabinets in there. You went basic microwave above the range.
Yeah.
How would that maybe perform versus, you know, what you've put in there today? If you had to guess, I mean, attracting good renters, and you Airbnb it, so attracting, you know, high quality people that are in there on a nightly basis.
You know, it goes back to location. Who is the person that's going to rent this out? Who is the demographic that we're looking to satisfy on this? Where our place sits, it gets a lot of ski traffic, except in 2026. Boy, where did the snow go? Where did the snow
Zero.
go?
There's none.
So
Play some golf, actually.
that's correct.
In February.
That's correct. So, but most of the people that are coming in there are going to be going up to Snow Basin or Powder Mountain. They'll spend both days, right? And so we have just, I believe that, like, when they come through and look at our pictures, there is a level of like, ooh, I want to stay there. It looks nice, right? That the remodel, or not the remodel, the build job that we did, right? That kitchen focus, it looks good. It just feels good. Yeah. And when you walk in, I think that's the other thing too. It just feels good, right? How often are people cooking with, do they have these nice of ranges at their house? Maybe they do, maybe they don't. But I'll tell you, that bottom right burner, whatever that is, Ignitro, that thing just...
The Pro burner?
Holy smokes, dude. I was up there a couple weeks ago and I'm like, how do we just rip this one?
Yeah.
That's a flamethrower.
Yeah.
That thing's good, right? So like, there's just some fun things about it that I'm like, you know, do I... I'm no Bobby Filet in the kitchen, you know, but it's fun.
Makes you feel like one.
But makes you feel good. Makes you feel good.
Yeah. We sell primarily kitchen ventilation. That's what we've done for 20 years. And we've introduced our sister company Z-Line into the mix. But talking about like ventilation, we sell a lot of hood inserts within a cabinet surround. So tell us, I price out more inserts for people. Than anything else. Are you seeing that trend becoming more popular within the homes that you're dealing with?
100%.
Okay.
And once again, you got to take it from the level of like, does your entry-level buyer do that? Probably not.
Yeah.
Right? They're just trying to like get in the house.
Yeah.
Right? Is it my buyer that's selling their second home and rolling their, you know, basically 2 lines of equity into another home? Yeah, you bet. Those are things that they are looking at. Right? When I talk with my clients that are saying right now, man, we don't know if we want to move or if we just do a remodel, right? Our interest rate's so low. We have a ton of equity in our house. We could even open up a home equity line of credit to do this. You bet. Anyone that's doing that, they are going to be looking to say, how can I make what's popular and new in my house? So how can I re-fall in love with my house? I would tell you that's why I say the kitchen remodel and the bathroom remodel.
Yeah.
Where do people spend their time?
Yeah.
Right? They're going to spend the majority of their time there in the kitchen, family room, front room area. So that's the focal point. When people come over and you're entertaining, it's the piece that people are hanging out around.
Yeah.
So
my wife really loves the HD TV show Love It or List It. It's kind of that they bring in a designer and they attempt to try and get you to fall back in love with the house that they own, right? And what are the pain points? And oftentimes it's kitchen, it's main bathroom, right? And so you know, those things that I think it's enjoyable to watch because you can see a complete transformation and people can fall back in love with a place that they've lived for a long time, and there's a lot of emotions involved there, right? And so I like that, and people are now, so there's probably less motivation to move because they've got a 2.5% interest rate or 3% interest rate. They're kind of handcuffed, and they're like, well, what things can we do to really fall back in love with this?
yeah.
Right. Would you say colors, what are the most prominent colors that you're seeing out there in accents or things like that?
Yeah, I mean, for a long time, like that grayish color, I always talk about, it's like the beige/gray. That was like the thing. That's starting to go away. The grays are like out, right? The parade of homes that's going to be coming up, right? Because you got St. George, it starts this week. You got Utah County parade of homes that's going to be. I always like to kind of lean on them to say, like, you saw arches for a while. That was like really big. Arches were coming out, right? And so I like to always just kind of pay attention to what's coming out in these homes because they're always on the leading end of like, hey, this is the next phase that's coming.
Yeah.
I will tell you, dark cabinets, I mentioned this earlier, like dark cabinets are coming back. They are coming back. That two-tone that was so popular forever, you're still seeing it, and you're still seeing nice homes there and there, but you're not like, they're kind of going away from that.
Yeah.
Right? And I mean, what do they always say? Like, you know, if you don't like your design, just wait 10 years or 20 years and it will come back in style.
It'll come
right?
back.
So,
yeah,
you know, those golds are starting to go away. Not so much of like the golds and stuff that we used to see there for a long time.
Yeah.
You know, I think you can always, that flat matte black is always something that's going to be pretty standard, true, popular.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
So,
you know, we've got a lot of people that come in, they want the newest kind of finish, whether it's like a knurled knob or whether it's maybe a brushed finish or a champagne bronze color. Like, are you seeing, if someone was to maybe try and say, hey, Justin, I'm on a limited budget, you know, is there a way that I can make this pop without maybe overspending?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, like little things like that. You think about like that, was it GE came out with their cafe line, like, right? And that was like I feel like one of the first ones where we started to see like some like, you know, the pull bar that they'd go across there. It was like a different color, right? And it was like, oh, that's kind of cool. They incorporated like a gold pull bar with like this stainless steel, like, and this knob's a different color, right? Starting to see some of those things. I still believe like there's an element to like it feels classy. So when we talk about, like you just said, is it like a champagne bronze that we can put on this or do that? Yeah, you bet. Like I still believe those things pop.
Yeah, that perception of.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Yeah, of bougie.
That's
right?
correct. That's correct.
Okay, let's transition because this is another topic that I wanted to talk about, and I've actually been to your house. You did this remodel.
Yeah.
Big remodel outside.
Big.
Landscaping. You did a pool. You put in, you know, a big pool house.
Yep.
You've got a kitchen out there. Talk to us in the market about some of these outdoor upgrades because we sell outdoor products. We sell outdoor ventilation for barbecue hoods, you know, stuff like that. So tell us just the overall kind of market view on outdoor right now.
Yeah, so I believe, pending where someone is at in this process, but like there's a lifestyle that people are trying to capture. And, you know, I'll use myself as an example. My wife and I were at a point where we said, hey, are we going to sell our home and go build a new one, right? Or do we try to fall in love back with our home? And so we didn't love our home, but we just knew there was things that we needed to do, right? I don't know if it's because we had built that place up in Eden a couple years prior, and I was heavily involved in that process, and it was fun. It was fun. we met with a landscape architect and we started like going through things and we started like drawing stuff and like, well, we could put a pool house here and we can do a pool and we can do these things. And it was like, okay. And my eyes got a little bit bigger than the plate that was in front of me a little bit, you know. I was like, holy smokes, like when we started to dive into it. But like, I can tell you the entertainment factor of my home, like there is an element when I come into my backyard that I just feel happy to be at home.
Yeah.
Right. And I feel happy to bring my friends over. I feel happy to bring my family over. I want people to come over. I want them to feel good. And we did everything nice. Everything is really nice.
Yeah.
You know, I can't tell you how often people are like, I mean, and we got the outdoor grill and it's, you know, I was not even thinking of doing an event over it. And then we were talking and you're like, why don't you do an event over that? And I'm like, what are you talking about? You're like, yeah. I'm like, no, it's outside, Carson. You're like, no. This is like really popular.
Yeah.
Right? And we started talking about it, like, and those are features that I look at and I'm like, oh, I didn't realize. I would have just been filling that entire, like, you know, covered space with smoke.
Yeah.
Right? These are like little things, but that has been a huge thing for us. We've loved it.
Yeah. Kind of gathering. We're in the same part of our life too, where we want to entertain more. We want to bring people together. I think that's what a lot of people are now doing, and the outdoor space is becoming an extension of their interior space.
Amen.
And I mean, I don't know how much Utah is doing this, but I see it in Florida, I see it in Texas, I see it in these places which stay pretty warm all year round, California. They're really integrating and they're spending a lot of money in these outdoor areas, hundreds of thousands of dollars just to entertain and keep people together.
Yeah.
And it's just interesting where that trend is going.
Yeah, I'll tell you, like nothing better than like when I go to that pool house and I knock out those sliders and we open it up, right? And you know, maybe it's in the evening, it's a little bit cooler and you crank on the fireplace that's right there. And I got the speakers, and there's like some music going and the TV's going inside if people want to do some stuff. I mean, it is just a vibe, right? That people are like, oh man, I love this. I love this. And and you too.
Yeah, we've been over there and I've had my staff over and we definitely have enjoyed being over there. So thanks for having us.
Yeah, you bet.
Another topic kind of coming out of spending money on the exterior, but looking at, you know, your home as a whole, what does, you know, success look like over 5 to 10 years? What can people do or expect? You know, we've seen this awesome ramp up. Now we've seen a cooling down period of the market, but what can people really expect over the next maybe 5 to 10 years?
Dude, you're in luck. I brought my crystal ball today. Let me just tell you what I got here. No, so honestly, there's a little bit about that we don't know what we don't know, right? So some of this is a little bit of speculation, but I think there's some core principles that I could talk about that would be really smart overall, right? I mentioned at some point, every market has a niche or has an opportunity within every market. The same skill set that you used 5 years ago might not be the same skill set that you're using today, yet there's aspects of that skill set that fall into place. If someone asked me in 2025, Justin, what would you say was your number one strength in 2025? I would say the art of keeping the deal together. So not so much the art of getting the house under contract, right? Not so much the art of saying, hey, we were able to receive an offer. It was the art of like, now we're under contract, how do you keep this thing together? How do you show up and fight for your client in a way that protects them, but also brings them to reality, right? And are we on a buyer side or on a seller side? When I look forward into 2030 and you say, hey, Justin, what do you think's like, what would you say, right? A few things that come to my mind is this. Gary Keller, so I'm with Keller Williams. Gary Keller is a very smart man. He's a smart guy, and he's written a couple different books. He's written The Millionaire Real Estate Investor. He's written a book called Hold, which is all about buying rental properties and holding. Millionaire Real Estate Investors, about being an investor in real estate. And one of the things that I think he talks about that is really good is he says, I've never met someone that's, you know, elevated in age, 85, 90, that says, dang, I wish I would have just sold more of my houses. Most of the time, they're like, boy, if I would have just kept that real estate, I would have just been taken care of, right? But reality kicks in, And we can't always just keep our homes. We need that if we're going to roll it into the next one.
Yeah.
Right? But what Gary talks about in the Millionaire Real Estate Investor, I think is so important, is he talks about creating a buy box. And he says, when you know the parameters that you're looking for, so is it, hey, I want a certain amount of cash flow out of this thing, or I actually don't care about cash flow. I'm looking at future appreciation in this area. I believe that it's going to blow up, right? I'm going to just hold and I'll do this. Is you create like this idea of what you want, and then that is okay, this is what I want. Now, how do we go get it? I think like an opportunity right now is there are seller finance opportunities out there. So they say fortune favors the bold. And I think right now, if I was to ask most people, they would be pretty nervous in this market. Like, well, I don't know if I want to buy right now. I think it's like, dude, I think the market could like go down. I'm going to wait for things to be better. And what I would say is, well, what we know is what we know today, right? I can't confidently tell you, hey, this is what's going to happen in 5 years, Carson. This is what's going to happen. But I can tell you, hey, if we follow the principles today that are saying, okay, well, I already know that these are what I want. Like these are the metrics I have to hit. If I can make those metrics happen and I have to do a seller fi, something like that, right? Great. That's how we had to make those metrics fit. Maybe someone can do it and they're doing traditional financing, right? Whatever it might be, I would just say every opportunity, there are little lanes of opportunity in every market, but it does require one to be out and moving and looking. And the thing that I would tell you most of my clients, even myself, if I was to look back and grade like, hey, where did I have good years and bad years and how did this come through, is there were times that I bought properties, and I still feel like this. Most of the time I buy properties, I'm like, what am I doing? Here we go again, right?
Yeah.
Why am I doing this? But I can always go back to my metrics and I can say, well, it checks this, 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 and this, and I know I'll be happy, so let's go.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And so my message into 2030 is this, is I do think rates will eventually come down, right? We got a new Fed chair that's coming in here soon. I'm sure he's getting pressure from the president, right? But do I think they drop out the bottom? No, but I think they will come down, right? And I think there will be more opportunities, and we might have to change the way we're doing things today where we saw success because of market shifts and changes. But as long as we have those metrics in front of us that we would determine, and they hit those metrics, long term, you just hold, you'll be great. And that's why I go back to the old person that says, I wish I would have never sold.
I don't hear a lot of people say, I regret, if they've held onto a property a long time now, that they regret having that property.
Yeah.
Right. I think over time, it might look advantageous to sell, or maybe you've got a headache in that property, or maybe something goes wrong and you got plumbing, or you've got shoddy work that you're trying to work around, and going back to your buy box and maybe advising your clients on inspections and things like that and being diligent there. Ultimately, yeah, I don't think that people really regret holding real estate for the long term. Am I right?
Yeah. I always have this analogy of this, is like if we were going out and we were, I don't know, say we had to crawl into a hole, right? If I was crawling down a hole and it was like a tunnel, man, I'm going to feel way better getting in that tunnel if I know, like, all right, there's a few ways I can get out of this tunnel. It's not just like a one shot all the way through that if I get stuck, I'm done for.
Yeah.
Right? I view life that way a little bit. And when I have assets on the side, there's always, in my opinion, I feel like I'm getting in that tunnel and I always have options, right? Hey, is it the most ideal thing that I have this rental right now? No, it gives me headaches. It bothers me. There's things that pop up. Here's all this stuff, right?
Yeah.
But the truth is these people are paying down your mortgage. The market is appreciating little by little. And, you never know if something comes up in your life where you're like, I need $100,000. Like this medical thing came up, I need $100,000 or something. I'm just giving a number out there. It could be whatever. And you're like, I can't just do that out of nowhere, right? When you carry an asset, something like that, it just gives you options to think about, like, all right, I could do this. I could do this. And so, like, I'll tell you, there are times I hate my rentals, and there's times that I just can't stand it, right? I can't stand it. But what I do know is this, is there will be a day I'm really happy I have those.
Yep.
And
We've talked about big picture.
dude, it's just the big picture. Because the immediate, especially when it's like, it rains, it pours, it's like 1 week, I swear to you, like every water heater in our rentals went out. And I'm like, all right, well,
Yeah.
here we go.
I literally replaced one this morning.
There you
Mine. So there you
Did you
go.
really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's
I really did.
great. This is great.
It went out this morning.
So that's the, we talk about the good, bad, and ugly,
Yeah.
right? Like that's the day-to-day stuff that can feel overwhelming to back to when you're like, hey, are there certain clients that I would be like, hey, having someone live below you is probably not a great idea. It's not, you're not going to do well with that.
Yeah.
Right? Are there certain clients that I'm like, let's take them out living from below you. You're going to have a full-on rental that you're going to have to manage. That's even worse for them, right? So it's finding that client that it fits.
Yeah, not buy box ultimately.
That's right. That's right.
You mentioned seller financing.
Yeah.
For those of our listeners that don't know, describe what seller financing is and how it can benefit someone in today's market.
Yeah. Typically, most of the time, seller financing is being offered. The seller of that home typically does not have a mortgage on it, right? And what they are advertising is, we know rates are high. We want you to give us X amount down. Typically, that's going to be somewhere between 20 to 30% that they'll want you to put down, right? But if you give me 20% of my asking price, I will go ahead and I will carry the additional amount and I will amortize that over a 30-year schedule typically, right? I'll usually put like a 5 to 10-year balloon on it, meaning it will come due in 5 to 10 years. Sometimes they do them sooner, 2 years, but there'll be some term that they put on that. And they'll give you an advantageous rate. The rate today is like right around like 6.25, right around there. And they might be advertising a 4.75 interest rate.
Okay.
Right? So all of a sudden your monthly payment on this thing became way more affordable.
Yeah. It's
Right?
attractive.
It's attractive. It's
Lower
like, dude.
rate. Yeah.
And what it does for the seller is the seller can usually capture the price that he wants to capture. And that's the benefit to the seller is we don't have as many buyers in the market right now, but if I gave buyers a potential to have a lower rate, I bet I could capture this higher price.
Yeah.
And the buyer does not care because he's like, great, my payment's better than it would be if I went through an institution. So it's a little bit of a win-win scenario.
Okay. So that's one of the main ways that people are combating high interest rates.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
Are there any other things out there that buyers can utilize to?
Yeah, I mean, there's all sorts of programs. I mean, you have a lending background, right? So there's all sorts of programs out there that it's very common to get pretty big seller credits these days. So a buyer comes in and says, hey, seller, I need $20,000 in concessions. Those $20,000, they're taking to buy down the rate. Maybe it's a program where they're doing a 3-2-1 buy down. I mean, 7-year ARMs, 10-year ARMs. I mean, there's so many programs out there.
Yep.
Maybe they're really worried about the ARM and they just want to say, I want to just throw that entire chunk of change at buying the rate down, keep me in a 30-year, fixed conventional mortgage. That's what I want. So you saw that so many times is that just like when we sit down with a buyer and we were saying, hey, let's build your buy box. There's a whole separate side to that says, hey, let's build your mortgage box too.
Yeah.
On how we can make this get you taken care of.
That's a great transition because I was just thinking about like just as important as it is to have a good real estate agent in your corner, it's equally as important to have a good lender in your corner.
Yeah.
We've worked together. I have a lending background. You have a good team. Explain to me, why is it so important to, have an agent, lender, and client all on the same page? It's important to have a good agent and experience, but why is a lender so important?
Yeah. I believe, Carson, I think there's a saying that says something, if you want to go fast, go by yourself. If you want to go far, go with a team, right? And I even think about like, if you want to get really fit, people will hire a coach, right? If you want to really do something, most of the time people are going to put a team around themselves. Go take a professional fighter, go take a, professional athlete. They're going to have teams around them, right? That is the exact relationship that I want with my lender, that I want with my title company, that I want with my home inspector, because what we're doing is we're coming together in the best interest of the buyer. or best interest of the seller. And when I talk about 2025 saying, man, the mantra would be, how do you keep the deal together, right? I think of one story in specific from 2025. I had some clients that were living up in Traverse Mountain. They had done a really nice little remodel to their house. It was a good home. They came to us and said, hey, we need to move. So we put their house on the market, and we got their house on the market. We staged it. I mean, the thing looked so good. We got an offer pretty quick on it. Seemed to fit the needs very well of the seller. However, the seller in the past had some problems with some settling issues at their old home, right? So they were really kind of just very nervous. And one of their friends lived in the neighborhood, and the friend said, oh, I think there's some homes that have settled up here. And if you look into Traverse Mountain, there's a few homes that have settled and some things like that, right? And they had brought up their home inspector. Home inspector was like, yeah, I think we have settling on this back porch here, right? One of the beautiful things is when I think of my team, you know, from lending to home inspectors to just service professionals that I have. I sold a home to one of the owners of Davenport Foundation, right? So these people started freaking out. I got on the phone with one of the owners from Davenport Foundation. I said, hey, here's what we have. Here's what's going on. He came out to the property. I mean, they're one of the most known foundation companies out there. Yeah. They went through, he's like, hey, here's a list. We've done, you know, 5 of the lifts around this area. Here's why we don't think you have problems. Here's this, right? And it put that put that buyer at ease. On the side, my seller didn't even know that I was going through all the steps to do these, because there was an element too that they were like really nervous about it. Yeah. Right. So it wasn't, I wasn't keeping them in the dark. It was like, hey, I'm going to have a guy come out, but I was like jumping through hoops on my side to say like, hey, how can we keep this deal together? Right. And we did. And so when I think of like my team around me, there's so many times my lenders and you guys have come through when you were back in the day working, and we had deals that were dead, right? Quote unquote dead. And boom, we were able to just do a little CPR on that thing and bring it back to life, right? Yeah. So many times. Yeah. And sometimes it was conversations that you and me or, you know, the other lender were having, and we're sitting there saying, well, if we tell them they're gonna be freaked out right now, let's solve the problem and go to them with a solution versus saying, hey, I'm coming to you with the problem, and letting them just be like, well, what do you mean, right? Yeah. So it's the art of keeping the deal together. Yeah.
Our good friend Todd Marget says solutions to everything.
That's correct.
He loves resuscitating
deals.
That's
correct. Boy, we resuscitated a lot.
We've resuscitated a lot. And I think, you know, that's the key to just about anything you do in life is don't come to me with a problem, come to me with a solution. And, you know, behind closed doors, you know, problem solving and managing emotions are just such a big part of this business, right?
Yeah, I'll tell you, I think about this, the strength that you have. You are a solution-based person. I even think about this is when we did that remodel in my backyard, and you're like, dude, rip a range up there, right? You turned me loose with a tape measure, and boy, did I go loose on that tape measure. And I'm like, all right, Carson, you know, for that metal surround that you're gonna put on there. I'm like, I've measured it 3 times. Here's exactly the one that needs to be cut. You guys cut it, you come out there and you're like, well, your measurement's right on the front, but it's off in the back, right? Yeah. And so versus saying like, dude, guys, we got to cancel today. We can't do what we're going to do. Yeah. Next thing you know, you got on the phone, you had one of the techs from your company come out. He bought a grinder down. I mean, we got that sucker installed. Yeah. Right. And it was like, all right, hey, we're back in business. Let's go. Yeah. It took an extra hour, but the problem was fixed. Yeah.
Yep. So come across too many of those projects, unfortunately. That's but nothing ever goes as planned.
That's correct. That's what you can plan on, actually, Carson.
Is that nothing goes to plan.
That's correct.
Yep.
Yeah.
So we're gonna dive into some rapid fire questions here that our team came up with. So Justin, 3% interest rate or dream location?
I gotta be rapid in this though, right? Oh my gosh, dream location.
Okay. Haunted mansion or tiny studio?
A tiny studio for sure.
Carpet in the bedroom or hardwood floors everywhere?
Carpet in the bedroom.
Kitchen island or huge walk-in pantry?
Kitchen island. Huge walk-in pantry.
Okay.
Yeah.
HOA or no HOA?
No HOA.
No HOA. You were quick on that one.
Yeah, I'm ready.
Smart home or a home completely off grid?
Smart home.
Smart home.
Yeah.
Pool in the backyard or a massive primary suite?
Pool in the backyard.
Obviously.
Mm-hmm.
Monthly house cleaner or professional landscaper?
Professional landscaper.
Okay. Curb appeal front yard or secret oasis in the backyard?
Secret oasis in the backyard.
Okay. Last question. You've helped so many people through, the most stressful times in your life. Yeah. Looking back at all the keys that you've handed over, doors that you've opened, is there one specific moment or family that reminded you, that brought you back to, this is why I do this, and this is why I love doing what I do?
I'll tell you, there's no like specific moment, but I have moments throughout every year that happens. I'm having one right now. I have a client who I sold a home to 8 years ago. She's elevated in age, and she ended up having to go into a old folks home. And I am dealing mostly with her 3 sons.
Okay.
I've helped one of those sons in the purchase and sale of other real estate. Ironically enough, I met this person 8 years ago. She called me. I was looking online and I saw your number, and I think you seem like a really good real estate agent. Will you come meet with me? And I'm like, yeah, you bet. Like, where were you looking online? She says, I just typed into Google. I'm like, okay, great. Where do you want to meet? Right? And I went out to her house. I helped her sell that house and drape her buy another house, right? And the one that we're selling right now is this. And she is like such a sweet old lady. Mm-hmm. She's just such a good person. And there's an element of the transaction that we're doing right now that I like see myself in it from her son's point of view. Like, one day my parents will pass away, right? And sure, we want to do the best for mom. We want to try to, close out the estate in the right way. But like, they have made decisions, I believe, from such a level head. Mm-hmm. And she's a little bit, she's dealing with Alzheimer's. That's why they had to move her out. And so they've called me twice with her on the phone, and she's said some like really nice things. I remember you, and thank you for taking care of my family. It's usually in the morning because morning's a little bit better, right? And there's an element to this transaction that I'm like, this is why I do what I do, right? And I have multiple times a year that something like that happens. And I've told the boys 2 or 3 times, I just said, hey guys, just so you know, like, I am just completely just like blown away at the way you guys handle this in a great way. I get a chance to see the flip side of it sometimes, right? I've helped families where it's not smooth. Mom and dad are going downhill, and it is just a battle, right? And so it's things like that I just love. Yeah. So
that's great to hear. Well, thank you for being an advocate. You're the reason that we're here today, having this discussion. It's because you've advocated for me, and you've made my life so much better and easier in transactions that I've handled with you. So really appreciative. Thanks for this interview. Yeah. Hopefully we provided some value to our listeners today. But Justin, tell our listeners, in case they want to find you, where they can find you. Yeah. And
just go to
work with you.
Go to Google, right?
Go to Google.
8 years ago, just go to Google. Man, that's so great. I say that just because that's what the Allen Draper did, right? Thanks. And I, to give a plug back to you is you talk about just a team, right? I view you as part of my team. And when I think of, services, whether it's an HVAC, whether it's, I have a list of people that are my key vendors, right? There's nothing better than when I just know, like, you're in that list where I just say, hey, I need this, Carson will take care of it, right? Mm-hmm. Hey, we need this range, Carson, call these people, do this, right? Things get taken care of. And so thanks for being that for me. I appreciate it, dude. Sure. So thank you. Easiest way to find me is, honestly, probably type in line and just Justin Hurd, right? I run the 4111 Real Estate Group is what I run. And I'm with Keller Williams. I also have stuff on Instagram and, all the good things. You can go to 4111.com. And I guess the one thing that I always say that throws people off, 4111, That's FORTYONE. You spell it all the way out, 11. And where I came up with that is when I was making the business, I was really trying to think of like, what is something that I like really believe in and what I love, and every location, every home has a story, and the coordinates of every home here in Salt Lake area, if you get too far west or you get too far south, I get debunked. But for most of them, it's going to be 40 point something degrees north, 111 point something degrees west.
Okay.
So I came up with 40, 111. 111's 111, right?
Okay.
Because we hit those coordinates every time we sell a home to someone, right? And it's just a good reminder to be like, hey, a home is more than just a house, right? It's where you're going to have memories made, and this is where, you know, people's dreams come true, right? It's the American dream to own a home. And so that's where I came up with 4111. So it's been a good thing. Sometimes I have to explain it a little bit more, but I don't mind explaining it.
Yeah.
It's a good thing.
Lucas, our photographer, you didn't ask where that name came from.
Yeah.
So you heard it here, Lucas.
Lucas, when you're editing this, you will know the answer. So, yeah.
Okay. Well, thanks everyone for listening, and that's Justin Hurd. Appreciate you watching, and we'll see you soon.
Yeah, thank you.